In the heart of the lively yet struggling city of Cebu, there lived a humble young woman named Manila Belle, whose kindness shone brighter than the lights of the crowded night markets. Her beauty wasn't the kind that came from luxury or wealth, it was born from her spirit, her hard work, and her endless compassion. Every day before sunrise, Manila Belle would rise from her bamboo mat, tie her faded red scarf around her head, and prepare clay pots filled with milk drawn from her family's only cow at the old Cemon Cow Well. The well stood at the edge of their small village, surrounded by cracked stones and the faint smell of wet earth. For the poor people of Cebu, it wasn't just a water source, it was a place of survival, a meeting ground for stories, struggles, and dreams. Belle's family had little more than a crumbling nipa hut that leaned against the muddy riverbank. Her father, Tarlac Ramon, once a proud trader, had fallen into deep poverty after a terrible storm destroyed their crops and took their savings. Still, he never gave up trying to provide for his daughter. He would polish old bottles, collect scraps of metal, and sell what he could in the town market. Belle, despite her hardships, never complained. She smiled at life even when her hands ached and her feet blistered. One day, she whispered to herself as she filled her clay jars, "Our kindness will bring us something beautiful." The people at the Cemon Cow Well often gossiped about her. Some admired her courage, while others mocked her poverty. "She's too beautiful for that miserable life," one woman would say, filling her bucket with water. Another would laugh, "Beauty can't feed a family." But Belle never responded with anger. She believed that every person carried their own burden, and judging them only deepened one's own sorrow. Her only comfort was her father's gentle smile and the soft moo of their cow, a creature she often talked to as if it were her friend. One evening, after a long and exhausting day, her father decided to travel beyond Davao Hills in search of a better market for their milk. The journey was dangerous, dense fog covered the winding roads, and strange sounds echoed through the forest. When night fell and he did not return, Belle's heart filled with dread. The next morning, she packed a small basket of bread and followed the path her father had taken. The trail led her through wild woods and whispering winds until she found herself standing before an ancient stone gate, half hidden by ivy and mist. There, in the eerie silence, stood a mansion so large and dark it seemed alive. Its gates creaked open as if welcoming her in. Inside, she found her father trembling beside a figure shrouded in shadows, the Beast of Baguio, a creature with eyes that glowed like fire and a voice that rumbled like thunder. Belle's fear turned her cold, but her heart, pure and selfless, made her step forward. That moment, inside the haunted halls of the forgotten mansion, marked the beginning of a story that would when Manila Belle first faced the Beast of Baguio inside that cold, echoing mansion, her whole body trembled with fear. The creature towered above her, his horns curved like the branches of an ancient tree, and his claws gleamed in the flickering candlelight. His deep growl filled the air like thunder rolling over the mountains. Yet, when Belle looked closer, she saw something unexpected behind those fierce eyes, a sadness so heavy it could break a heart. The beast's mansion was massive but lifeless, filled with dust, broken chandeliers, and faded portraits of people long gone. Every corner whispered of loneliness, and even the walls seemed to sigh. Belle realized that this creature, terrifying as he appeared, was trapped in a pain deeper than her own poverty. At first, she spoke little and kept her distance, eating quietly while the beast watched her from the other end of a grand, cracked dining table. Every night, she prayed in silence, asking for strength to survive another day in this strange place. But soon, small changes began to happen. The beast started leaving her books in the library, old, beautiful stories about courage, kindness, and forgiveness. Sometimes, he would stand by the window, watching the rain with a look of sorrow that Belle couldn't ignore. Bit by bit, she found herself wanting to understand him. When she thanked him one evening for saving her father's life, he simply turned away and muttered, "No one ever thanked me before." It was a small moment, but to Belle, it was the first sign that beneath the monster's fur and fury, there lived a wounded heart. Back in Cebu City, the gossip at the Cemon Cow Well grew louder. The villagers whispered cruel things, calling Belle the girl who lost her mind or the poor soul living with a demon. Even her old friends avoided her family's hut. The children pointed and laughed when her father passed by, saying that his daughter must have been cursed. The pain of those words reached Belle's heart, but she refused to let it poison her spirit. She understood something the others didn't: real kindness was not measured by what people saw but by what the heart felt. She believed there was goodness in everyone, even in someone as broken as the Beast of Baguio. As days turned into weeks, Belle began tending to the neglected gardens behind the mansion. The flowers, once dry and lifeless, began to bloom again under her care. The beast would often watch her from a distance, his anger slowly melting into admiration. For the first time in years, laughter echoed through the castle walls. Belle would tell him stories from Cebu, about the noisy streets, the laughter at the markets, and the smell of roasted corn after the rain. The beast listened, sometimes smiling, sometimes crying silently when she wasn't looking. Without realizing it, Belle had given him what his curse could not take away: hope. And in her heart, she started to see something beautiful growing between them, something stronger than fear and richer than gold: compassion. Changed not only her life but the hearts of everyone in Cebu. The night the curse finally broke over the Beast of Baguio's mansion was one that the people of Cebu City would talk about for generations. It began with a storm that shook the skies, lightning flashing like swords across the heavens. Manila Belle had spent hours by the beast's side, crying and pleading as he lay weak and wounded after saving her from a pack of wild wolves in the forest. His breathing was shallow, and the warmth was fading from his massive hand. In that desperate moment, she realized how deeply she loved him, not for his appearance, but for the kindness and courage she had seen beneath his monstrous form. Her tears fell on his fur as she whispered, "Please don't leave me. I love you." At that very moment, the storm outside went silent, as if the heavens themselves had paused to listen. A radiant light burst through the broken windows, filling the mansion with a warmth that chased away every shadow. Belle shielded her eyes, and when the light faded, the creature before her was gone. In his place stood a man, handsome, gentle-eyed, and clothed in the same torn garments of the beast. His face carried the same sadness she had once seen in the monster's eyes, but now it was softened by peace. "Belle," he said in a voice she recognized instantly, "your love has set me free." The spell that had cursed him for years had finally been broken by the power of pure love, a love untainted by greed or fear. When the doors of the mansion opened, the villagers from Cemon Cow Well gathered outside, their mouths wide in disbelief. The once dark castle now shone with golden light, its walls restored, its gardens alive with color and song. The people who had mocked Belle's kindness now bowed their heads in shame. They realized that the poor girl they had laughed at had done what no rich or powerful person could: she had turned a beast into a man, not with magic learned from books, but with the strength of her heart. Tarlac Ramon, her father, ran to her, tears of pride streaming down his face as he whispered, "You've proven that true beauty lives in the soul." From that day on, the story of Manila Belle and the Beast of Baguio became a legend told across the islands, from the mountains of Davao Hills to the beaches of Palawan. Children grew up hearing about the poor girl who saw love where others saw fear, and about the beast who learned humanity through her compassion. The Cemon Cow Well was no longer just a place for gossip, it became a symbol of hope, where people gathered to remind each other that real beauty is not found in riches or faces, but in the courage to see good in others. And every evening, as the sun dipped into the waters of Cebu, the people would look toward